Welcome to Varsity Xtra and our 2013 football previews. On the docket is Mountain Pointe, the Pride coming off definitely the best season in their school history in reaching the Division I championship game before falling to Hamilton. And obviously we know 1 year doesn't translate to the next year. However, the Pride have a lot of good talent and experience returning for this year's campaign, led by Jalen Brown and Natrell Curtis, among others. They also got a transfer, Dominic Fenstermacher from Marcos de Niza. He seems like the type who'll fit in fairly well with what the Pride are trying to do. What does he bring to Mountain Pointe in this case?
Yeah, Dominique's definitely a cover corner. He doesn't have great size, but he's a good defensive back. He played opposite Priest Willis last year, and people threw at him because they didn't want to throw at Priest, and he came up with, I think, 6 or 7 interceptions. He had 3 in a game against Chaparral. And now he's going to go with Jalen Brown in the secondary again. So even though he's good, he's not the best player in that secondary, so he's going to be tested a lot. He showed last year that he's up to the challenge. And then they also have Wesley Payne, linebacker, and like you said, Curtis and Brown. So that defense, probably not as good as Hamilton's, but definitely the second best defense in the state.
Yeah, they certainly could be. And their offense is normally pretty good. I mean, they've had a very good rushing attack the last couple of years. Antonio Hinosa back for his senior season at quarterback is a big deal to help give balance to that Mountain Pointe offense. I think they are going to have another really good year. I'm curious to see if their offense is going to be as good at times as it was last year, and maybe Jalen Brown will figure more into that. We'll have to see as the season goes on, but I see him as 8-2. I think outside of those 2 losses, I've got him beating Chandler. I think that game could be very interesting. And I've got him, they play Brophy in week 8, and we'll see what Brophy is like at that point in the season. But I think it's going to be difficult to get back to the title game, but I definitely see him, 12-2 and a top 5 spot going into the playoffs.
I think they're number 2, personally. I think Hamilton's the top team. I think Mountain Pointe is definitely number 2. They have tough games. Chandler, they play Hamilton, they play Desert Vista, they have Bishop Gorman to open the season. So I agree with you. I think 2 losses during the regular season is about right. But right now, Bash is in the mix, for that number 2 spot now that they have JT Gray. But with what Mountain Pointe has back on defense, like you said, Brown at wide receiver, Emmanuel Butler is a good wide receiver who's going to be coming up. And they don't have a big-time running back coming back, but with the athletes the Mountain Pointe churns out, they're going to have somebody. So I think they're balanced offensively. They have a really good defense, and in my mind, they're the top challenger to Hamilton heading into the season.